You know, if you think about it, lighting is the subtle art of making your audiences connect with your story. No matter the message or the context, it's what makes your channel achieve that premium look you're going for. In this video, I'm going to show you how to light and shoot your videos for your social media channels. You can be doing a tutorial series like this. You could be doing a product demo or launching a fresh and new product to your viewers as well. Or you can be thinking, you know, I have very little money where I can be using maximum one source of light. How do I make my shots appealing? How do I make my channel grow with just minimal lighting? Whatever your aim is, no worries. I'm going to show you how to set it up in this video. So let's do this. Alright, so the first thing you've got to do is try and identify a good place. I'm talking about an area where you feel it'll look nice when you put it up on your YouTube channel. I have chosen my living room, pretty big area for me to set up my cameras, lights and so on. Now I'm going to show you how to set up your cameras for your very own YouTube videos. Alright, I'm going to show you how to quickly set up your camera. If you're shooting in 4K, keep your frames per second or your FPS to 25. The next thing you got to do is you got to set your aperture. Now I usually keep my aperture between f4 and f5. It really depends upon you. But this is a good bracket within which you got to keep your aperture. The next thing you got to do is you got to set your shutter speed. This needs to be minimum double your frame rate or higher based on your shot. So for example, if I'm shooting in 25 FPS, then my shutter speed needs to be a minimum of 1/50 or higher. The last thing you need to do is set up your ISO. Now ISO, you can keep it 400 as a minimum if you're shooting in log. Now the first source of light you need for your setup is the key light. Now the key light is the brightest light in your shot. Place the key light between 30 to 45 degrees from your camera aimed at your face, ideally eye level. Make sure it's not too bright and not blowing up your face. Keep it relatively soft, so have some distance between the light and where you sit for the video. Next, it would be really nice if you had one more source of light to fill this side of the face, right? Like this. Now here's what you got to do if you want to get that fill light effect in your shots. Place another light on the other side of the camera and keep its intensity almost half of the key light. It's got to be soft and at the same time give you all those nice details on your subject's face. Here's a quick preview of the lighting setup I have done so far. You can see the position of the lights and the distance between the lights and myself. Alright, so finally, to finish your 3-point lighting system, you need a good hair light, which will give you an effect like this. You can definitely differentiate yourself from the background and your viewers will be paying attention to you when you're presenting your videos with this lighting setup. Let me quickly show you how to set that up. So what I'm going to do is place a light behind me and keep it aimed at the back of my head. This will help in adding those details that will help you separate yourself from the background. The last thing you can do, if you can, is add some mood light to your background to enhance the visual appeal to your audience. So I have these nice LC500s and I'm going to use them to basically illuminate the wall which is behind me. So with these lights, you can also change the color of the lights. Now I'm going to change the color and I'm going to set it exactly to this color of my wall. Like that. And I'll place it like that so that it adds a little more visual appeal to this entire scene. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. Well, it's totally up to your imagination. Alright, so next I'm going to show you how to set up your cameras and your lights if you would want to do a product demo or a product launch video on your social media channels. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cameras and then I'll move on quickly to the lights. I'll finish it off by placing a nice mood light and you're good to go. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my aperture to about 3.5. My shutter speed is going to be the same at 1/50 1/50, and the ISO is not going to change as well. It's going to be at 400, and I'll be fixing another camera which will be focusing on what I'm doing with the product. And the settings I've kept for this are, the aperture is going to be about 3.2. I'm once again going to be shooting in 1/50, the shutter speed, and I'm going to keep the ISO at 400, just like I did for the other camera. Key light, I'm going to be using my Aperture 120D. I'm going to be using the softbox with the honeycomb because I want a very soft drop off of light falling onto the subject. So I'm going to place the light at about a high angle. Let's move on to the fill light. Now for the fill light, I'm going to be using another studio light, and I'm going to be aiming it at the same angle, falling on the subject with a nice soft drop off as well, so that the focus is only on the subject, and I'm going to keep the background pretty dark. Now for the hair light, I'm going to be using this particular SLW60 light, and this is going to be giving me that nice rim light onto the subject, and you can use this as well to create a bit of depth and a bit of shape to your shots. And the last light, which is the mood light, I'm going to be placing one more time the LC500. Just make sure that it is not shown. If you wish to show it, that's another story. You can do that as well. But in my shot, I'm going to make sure that it's just giving me that nice blue right behind me so that it adds a little more charm to your shot. So let's see the final video one by one. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to set up your camera if you're doing with just one source of light. So these are the camera settings you need to put before you get started with this setup. I'm going to keep the aperture to around 2.8. I want to let as much light as possible to fill into this frame. I'm going to keep my shutter speed to around 1/50 if I'm shooting in 4K 25 FPS. And the last thing is I'm going to keep my ISO to about 500, and this way I get a well exposed shot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be using my studio light to play the role of my key light, and I'm going to use the sun as my fill light. So I'm going to quickly show you how to set that up. So I'm going to be placing my 120D, and it's going to be placed at a top angle as you see in the map. I'm going to be switching this on. So this will be playing the role of my key light for this shot. For my fill light, I'm going to be using this window, and yeah, as you can see, the sunlight's coming from outside. So this window will be playing the role of my fill light in this shot. And the last thing you've got to do, if you can, is go for these Aperture MC lights or any pocket light. These will make a lot of difference if you have them playing the role of the mood light for your shots. I've basically set the light right over there facing the banner, and this is the way it will just add to the enhancement of the shot. Now let's quickly go and see the before and the after when we make these few adjustments and how your video looks in the end. Alright, so hope this video helped you in getting an idea on how to start or even better your very own videos. If it did, then hit that like button and subscribe to my channel and click that bell icon as well. That's pretty important so that you'll be the first to know as soon as I drop a fresh video onto my channel.